Hello, everybody. How are we doing? Good morning. My name is Jason Krutzky. It is a pleasure to be with you this morning. Thursday morning, we just got the GDP numbers back. I don't know if you guys saw. It seems as though they came in a little bit lighter than anticipated. Average consensus seemed to be somewhere in the neighborhood of about 1.9 or 2%. They came in at about 1.1%. So we grew about half as much as the big boys expected us to grow. We had initial jobless claims numbers, which actually came in lower than expected. I believe it was 235 versus 248. 235 was the actual number, 248 was the expected number. So not as many jobless claims, but not only about half the growth that we anticipated. Kind of an interesting thing going on there. How are you guys doing today? Are you all doing well? I hope you're doing well. I've got Meta up on my chart. Obviously, Meta had earnings yesterday, and it seems that they quite crushed the earnings expectations. I know it was a double beat. I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but it got me kind of thinking. I mean, this is a big freaking move from the close yesterday to right now. This thing is trading up nearly 15%. And so that kind of got me thinking, how often does that happen? So what I wanted to do real quick while I'm thinking about it, I wanted to test it and see you could test these sort of things. And I'm going to show you guys how. So what we need to do is we need to define where price is now relative to where it was, right? Pretty simple. So we're going to come in here. We're going to say condition. We're going to say price open greater than price close, right? And what we need to do, first of all, I need to change the time frame, make it the daily. And we're talking about today's open versus yesterday's close. So how do we define that? Pretty simple. Right here where it says last, if we click on that, it comes up with 0 candles ago. And so this is how we define the candle that we're referring to. Well, we want the open, we want to be referring to today's open, right? Market doesn't open for another 30 minutes. We're not going to be looking necessarily at today's open in this particular test, but we just want to, in this case, we're going to refer to today's open. So today's open is greater than what close? Well, we want to talk about yesterday's close, right? So we need to change this guy right here to 1 candle ago. And then we can click on the 3 dots right here, and it says add by at least margin. So this is how you're going to define how much greater it's opened relative to how it closed yesterday. Well, we're up 15%. We could say 15%. We could say 14. We could say 10. We could say 20. We could say whatever. The next thing that we need to do is we need to come over here to our exit side, and we need to define how we're getting out of this trade. So we're getting into the trade when you have this big change, this big gap up, and then we're getting out of the trade for whatever reason. I'm just going to say after a certain number of candles have passed and say 10. The last thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to come up to where I can define how far back I'm testing. So I'm just going to go as far back as I can. Because the big idea here is to see where this has happened previously. I'm going to turn off extended hours as well, because if you have extended hours on, it's likely that you won't find too much. So hasn't happened very often. Right here we can see it says 5 positions analyzed across 11 years. 5 times have we gapped up more than 15%, or at least 15%. Looks like we did it back in April of 2022. We did it on the previous earnings report, February of this year. And really it haven't happened. This hasn't happened. Let's see. Let's go back in the chart and see. We've got some gap ups, but obviously not 15%. Yeah, this hasn't happened in a long time for Meta. So how does it do historically when this happens? Well, all we really have to look at are these 2 data points. At least in the near term, in the recent past, we only have a few data points to look at, and so we look at the previous one. We have this gap up, and it ended up running for about 5 or 6 candles before ultimately pulling back and trying to fill that gap, which it did ultimately do. And then we have the previous earnings report where we kind of got the gap and go. They pulled in a little bit, they gave up the lows, but they never even filled the gap. So kind of interesting, you know, whenever you have. I like to back test whenever there are scenarios that are rare. just to see how those scenarios have played out historically. It seems like a pretty logical thing to do, right? There's a few of you here. Please say hello. I'm curious to know, what do you guys got your eyes on this morning? What are you thinking about this morning? Are there any particular tickers that you're watching? I know we've got quite a few earnings coming up today. Has Google reported yet? I'm almost maybe it's Amazon. Amazon reports today, I believe. Let's check and see what the story is with Amazon. Yeah, so Amazon's reporting today after the bell. We've got a handful of names. Let me see here. Let's run a scan and find them out. You can scan for earnings dates. So let's say earnings dates today. We're going to put the current candle toggle on. I'm going to search a bigger world. Oh, we got lots of earnings today. Okay, I need to do some filtering here. Let's say price close. So I'm going to filter whenever I'm running scans and I get too many results back. You can see here I've got over 100 results. That's too many for me. So whenever I get too many results back, I'm always going to add filtering criteria just to, you know, pull in those results a little bit, make that a little bit more palatable for me. So I'm going to change, I'm going to add some filtering. I'm going to say price close greater than a constant value of, let's say, 20 bucks. So only stocks above 20 bucks. And let's also define volume. I pretty much always, these are two of the filtering criteria that I'm pretty much always going to use. Volume, average volume on a daily basis is greater than a constant value of 1 million. Just so that we're finding liquid names. There we go. So we got Amgen, we've got Amazon. Was this Honeywell today? Keurig, Dr. Pepper today, Mondelez today. Crocs today. This has been an absolute ripper. Just an absolute ripper. See where I got my eye. Guild, FSLR today. Pretty nasty move on Enphase yesterday, right? Yeah. Presumably pretty terrible earnings there. I don't really know, but pretty nasty move, affected the whole solar sector. So it'll be interesting to see what FSLR does today. Looks like they just lost the anchored VWAP from the previous earnings report, which it's been holding really nicely the entire quarter. So interesting to see them lose it yesterday. Y'all, I haven't heard a peep from you guys. Please say hello. I'm curious to know, like, what are you guys, are you here for any particular reason? You're just here to hang out? Are you here with any questions? Are you TrendSpider users? Are you not TrendSpider users? I would love to like actually get to talk to y'all. So if you're hanging out and watching, holla at your boy. Don't make me sit here and talk into a vacuum. Gonna run over to the futures and see what's going on with them. On the initial GDP announcement this morning, let's see here. Yeah, so on the initial GDP announcement, everything kind of sold off, but it's regained everything it sold off. So that's kind of interesting to see. NQ, same look. RTY. RTY even went a little bit higher. What's up, Antonio? Thank you for saying hello. We finally got somebody. How are you today? What are you watching, man? Do you have any trades on? Or do you have any questions about TrendSpider? Anything I can answer for you? I'll check on cryptos. I haven't looked at them yet today. Really interesting move out of crypto yesterday. I guess that there was news that some U.S. government wallets had sold. And this thing sold off 10% in what, an hour? Nearly 10% an hour. 9.5 from the highs. Regained the whole thing, pretty much. Rejected really nicely at that low. And now they're trying to get it back. ETH kind of a similar look, I'm sure. Yeah, the exact same look. Another thing that we can do here, since we know all these names, check this out. So we know all these names are reporting today. Let's call this reporting today. Say save. So we've just saved this scan. I'm going to go over to my sidebar widget here and add a watch list. And then click on Dow Jones 30 and type in, what did I save it as? Reporting today. So here's my scan of all the names reporting today. I can turn off my market scanner. This is going to hang out here on my sidebar. And the reason why I do this is because now I want to run a strategy. And I want to look earnings dates today. Add number of candles past, 10 candles later. So now we're going to test the performance of these names on earnings. Just to see how they do. Do they tend to do pretty well after earnings? Do they tend to do pretty poorly after earnings? How do they tend to perform? It's also a very, very quick way of seeing, even if you don't necessarily care about the overall performance of the ticker after earnings, if you've just been wanting to know, how it's acted past couple of earnings, how has it done? There's a very quick and easy way to see that. We can see 10 candles post the most previous earnings. We were up 0.82%. The previous one, we had a 14% gain. The previous one before that, 3 quarters ago, was almost an 8% gain. So this thing has been a winner the past 3 earnings reports. 10 candles later anyway. Mainly watching the Dow Jones. What are you watching for, Antonio? Are you long biased, short biased? Do you have a trade on? So for example, let's look at Amazon. Amazon past 2 earnings reports have resulted in sell-offs. So maybe this will be the one that bucks the trend. Your win rate on an earnings, 10 days post earnings, is only 36%. Average return is negative 1.5. Had a nice move August of 2022. But really, earnings have been pretty lousy for the better part of Amazon earnings. Just going to pop through all of these and kind of see if there's anything that's an outlier. You notice here on the right-hand side where the tabular data is, when I scroll through these names on the far right-hand side, you see these values in green. Sometimes they're going to be in red. These values are they're giving you the comparison of the previous test to the current test. So you can quickly see just how the strategies compare to one another across names. 50-50 win rate here. Average return 0.11. Looking into a few levels intraday. Right on, Antonio. Tractor Supply Company. 64% win rate, 10 days post earnings. So far, this is the best performer with an average return of 1.13%. Interesting. Comcast. 48% win rate, average return negative 0.07. AstraZeneca. I'm certain that this is a name that folks are going to be watching. Healthcare has been really outperforming. Excuse me, 47% win rate, 0.1% average return, 10 days post earnings. T-Mobile, 58% win rate, 0.5% average return. So far, still, Tractor Supply. Oh, this one's kind of interesting. What's this? Dexcom, 59% win rate, 2.4% average return. And a pretty tight consolidation setup here, too. Interesting. Wonder if it's already reported. Nope, not yet. I'm going to add this bad boy to my watch list. If you have a watch list, if you ever come upon a name you want to add super quick, click on this star icon right here. And then just scroll down to the watch list that you want to add it to. Just adding it to my close watch. Honeywell, how do we do on Honeywell? 64% win rate, 1.37% average return, 10 days post earnings. Dr. Pepper here. Not so great, 59% win rate, 0.36% average return. How about Crocs? 57% win rate, average return 1.78%. 10 days post earnings. Guild, another healthcare name that I'm sure people are watching. 50% win rate, 0.35% average return. So far, DXCM, clear winner. Of the bunch, anyway. Yeah, Antonio, man, that's really kind of you to say. Thank you. I appreciate that. Wishing you the best too, man. I do my very best here. You know, really, it's in a lot of ways, it's up to everybody who's watching. You know, I can help you guys out with anything you have any questions about. So never feel free, or never be hesitant to hit me up. You can always hit me up if I'm not live and you have questions. You can always hit me up. My Twitter handle is @KrutzkyTrades. So not too many take advantage of that, but I am available if y'all need me anytime. DMs are open. Or you can hit me up just in my feed. I've been making these little videos. People have been asking questions about things, and I've been making little videos and sending them. I find that that's actually like a really effective way of helping answer questions. So Mondelez, 53% win rate, average return 0.56, 10 days post earnings. Mobile Eye. Yeah, so this one is just a relatively new name, so not much to know about it. But interesting nonetheless. Well, I guess it's not that new, is it? I wonder if there was like a reverse split or something here on this thing. Because it looks like it's testing back, but there's not data on the chart. I need to ask about this. Hold on one second. S-Gen, C-Gen. It's a funky looking chart. Did they get like bought out or something? Let's skip past that one. PFG, 64% win rate, average return, almost 2%. Current setup doesn't look all that enticing though, does it? TW TradeWeb. Average return 3.39, 16 positions. Win rate 81%. Huh. That's interesting. So this, I mean, the only thing is you just don't have many positions here. So you got to be mindful of that. There's not a ton of data. But if you were just looking at win rate, just looking at average return, this is your strongest performer 10 days post earnings of the names that we've looked at so far. TW TradeWeb, interesting. I think that the real point of doing this is not to find a name to trade. It's really just to glean a little bit more understanding of how names tend to perform. If you had the idea, yeah, I want to trade, I don't know, T-Mobile before earnings. This is just a checks and balances that you can run. In fact, let me do this too. 10 days post earnings. Actually, hold on. Saving strategies or sharing strategies is now possible in the platform. We launched this a couple weeks ago. So if any of you guys are TrendSpider users, let me hook you up with this. So y'all can use it too. Here you go. If it's something that you want to do, no pressure. Excel Energy. This is my local energy provider. 50% win rate. Average return -0.3. Yeah, okay, so TradeWeb is the big winner here. Never even heard of this company. But it does perform pretty well post earnings. In the 16 earnings results that it's had over the past 4 years, your win rate is 81%. That means you're trading higher 81% of the time, 10 days post earnings. And your average return is 3.39. Looks like your winners draw down about 4.5%. So I've got the min-max change here. This is the price behavior explorer, and then I've got the min-max change. And so I look at the winners and I see how far they've drawn down. How far did they become losing positions before they reversed? And it looks like your average drawdown, or not your average drawdown, but your lowest drawdown on your winners is about 4.5%. Let's try something here. Let's put a stop loss at 4.5. Actually reduces your returns. Joe, TW sponsors CNBC chart. I had TW before, but sold that too darn early. Joe, I haven't seen you here in a minute, man. Have you been here and just not said hello? If you have been, I'm hurt. But if you haven't been here in a while, it's good to have you back. Thanks for being here. Did you you have any questions today, or are you just hanging out with me? Just stopping by. Well, I appreciate that, man. I'm curious to know. Let me ask you this. Let me ask all y'all this. There's a few of you here. What types of things could I do here to make you guys hang around longer and to make you guys want to come by more often. What am I not doing that you guys would like me to do? Is there anything in particular? Would you like to see more guests on the show? Would you like to see more like planned out lessons about different tools and ideas? Would you like to have this show happen at a different time? Would it be better for you if this show happened midday or power hour or in the evening? I want to keep doing these, but admittedly, there's not that many people here. And I feel like I'm not getting the best use of the time. So y'all's feedback would really help me a lot in kind of determining how to move forward. My gut instinct is maybe it's a time of day thing and that people are just not around. But I could be wrong about that. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm going to... Let's do this. I'm going to go back to the scanner. And I'm going to keep on jamming through some of these, but I'm going to look elsewhere. I need to save this too. So here's everything on the NYSE that's reporting today. Oh man, tons of names today. This is interesting. All right. Earnings. Today's post. You personally like Stock Charts Daily Market Review by David Kelly. Is this a live stream? If so, I'll have to go give it a watch. Never heard of this guy. I'm going to zoom through these names real quick and see if anything looks interesting. For reference, I'm just looking at tabular data here, and I'm specifically looking at win rate. I'm looking at average return. These are the values that I'm kind of paying attention to. Gotcha. Online TV network. I'm sure there are, Julian, and I'm sure that they are more recognizable than I am. I'm just a little guy. All right, Joe, you have a great rest of your day, man. Thanks for dropping by. Hit me with, Julian, hit me with names of some of them. The ones that you like. Right on. Well, I appreciate you hanging out with me, man. And like I said, if there's anything that, if anybody has any questions, I'm wide open to answer questions. And if you have specific things that you would like to see me working on or whatever, by all means, do not hesitate to let me know. Trade bridge. Ooh. I'm writing these down over here. You know who else has a great one? OG Trades. Cause he actually like live. He trades live. He trades futures live, pre-market. And I know that that's enticing, but that's just not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to provide trade ideas. Abby V. Market is open. Big gap down on Abby V on their earnings, I suppose. I'll definitely check those out, Julian. Thank you. BTU earnings today. Vincent Desiano. Thank you. Check him out too. Okay, sweet. Yeah, thanks, Julian. I appreciate it. Now, these guys, are they live trading? Or are they just hanging out, talking shop, looking at stocks? Just pre-market prep. Cool. MasterCard today, huh? 55% win rate 10 days post earnings. Average return 0.71%. Altria today looks like gap down. I guess they were bad. Southwest Airlines, big gap down there. Pinterest reports at the end of the day. There's a couple names at the end of the day. Let me check and see. I'm going to be on a space. Let me get you guys a link to it, actually. Talking with my buddy Rahul. Oh, Net and Snap today, too. Here, let me get you guys. This space is likely to be quite good. And it's likely to be quite long. His spaces always go on. Here you go. I'm going to be a guest on this space at 3:30 Eastern time today. We're going to be talking all things Amazon, Snap, Net, Pins, all things end of day earnings. Lots of smart folks in attendance, or lots of smart guests. I'm excited to hear from a handful of them for sure. Let's check out Net real quick. Man, Net has been consolidating for some time, hasn't it? Relatively newer company, only 14 positions, 14 earnings dates since inception. That's almost hard to believe, but that's true. Let me see here. I'm just going to put anchored VWAP from the IPO. You see the anchored VWAP from the IPO has really been important. So it'll be interesting to see what they do on this earnings report. Net cybersecurity, right? Cloudflare. 64% win rate 10 days post earnings, average return 0.71. Check out Snap. $24 positions, 54% win rate, average return almost 3%. So you guys are seeing, like, as we're testing all these names, average returns of 2 to 3%, 10 days post earnings, it's pretty rare. That's a pretty high percentage. And I think it's all about, like, the numbers, you know, like testing a lot of things just to see kind of how different names perform, to get a gauge. Had a really big move 2 quarters ago back in October. This thing gained from the lows. Wow, insane. $66 off the lows. Holy moly, 63%. Wow, crazy. How's Meta doing this morning? Is it still just ripping? $240. Any particular names you guys are watching? I'll pop back into futures here. Quiet group today, I must say. You are a quiet group today. JPM. Yeah, how are financials looking today? Yeah, you looking for this gap fill, Julian? Oh, you're short McDonald's. Interesting. Why? This looks like a pretty bullish long-term chart, I must admit. What are you thinking here, Julian? Also, where are you wrong? How does this thing do? 10 days post earnings. %60 win rate, 0.59 average return. Not long this week. Yeah, I guess it all just depends on your positioning, right? And when you got in. Are you short common? Or are you using options? I mean, it is a heck of a run that it's gone on. But it consolidated for a long time, didn't it? I mean, this whole section here, options. You got time on those things? I'm going to tighten this test up a little bit, make it 5 days out. 5 days out, 58% win rate, average return 0.32. Yeah, you want to see it make a new low. So I'd kind of be watching, you know, there's just one man's opinion. I kind of be watching the anchored VWAP from where they actually broke out. Because you kind of have to assume that everything in here is going to be pretty solid support. I mean, this is a long time that they've been consolidating this thing, really since, I mean, you got 2 earnings reports in there, 2 quarters. But then this big breakout, I don't know what caused this big breakout except for maybe just, you know, it had consolidated long enough. So to me, this big breakout would represent kind of like a new set of buyers. You've got a bunch of people that bought in here, and then you got a bunch of different people that kind of chased this. So then your average buyer from that point, where are they in the money? 285. So yeah, your 285 level seems pretty important. See what they do when they get there. Is that kind of how you were thinking about it too? Or does that just give you a little bit extra, or a little bit extra analysis towards the idea? This thing's trading all-time highs, right? Yeah. Let me throw some extensions up. Really what I would do. I think I'd be measuring from here. Hmm. High of day today, right at the 1618 high to low of the consolidation period. That's kind of interesting. I'm gonna pop into financials because I haven't looked at them in a sec. Pan W. Oh yeah, kind of like a must-hold spot, huh? At 181, I see it. Yeah, interesting. And this thing doesn't have earnings until May 18, so you got some time on it. Kind of see what they did here. Really tricky one being sideways like this. But ultimately, let me turn that off. I mean, ultimately what you've got at the end of the day, tune out all the noise. You got a high, you got a low. And even more ultimately, I mean, you have a lower high, right? And you have a lower low here. In theory, they kind of paused right where you would expect them to, somewhere below this area, just somewhere just below this area. They got right up into it and rejected. Yeah, I like this idea. You got some gaps to fill below too. Anchored VWAPs from the low. Currently at 176. Yeah, is this like a giant double top in the making? Would be my question. The anchor in from down here. Yeah, not surprised to see that. Perfect support. Anchored VWAP from the COVID lows there on Pan W a couple months back in January. I've said this a decent handful of times on these lives, but I always am suspect when they do things like this. When they come up into previous highs, they're so close to making a new high. This thing traded $200. They needed 13 bucks. They needed like 5.5% higher to make a new high, and they didn't make it. Why? You know, they took out the top of last month's range. Now they're going for the bottom, so they're trying to go outside. So if they go outside, then you have exhaustion on either side. You have an outside bar. So you'd have a, if you follow the strat, as a 2 up, and then this would be a 3. So you could test that. So let's say you went 2 up on a month. This would be last month. Oops. And then you went 3 this month. Let's see if it's ever done it. I don't know. Let's go 2 months later. There might not be enough data here. Oh, wow. 8 positions that went 2 up, 3. A 100% win rate. Interesting. In every instance that you went 2 up and then had a 3, you closed higher a couple months later. 2 months later. Something to keep in the back of your mind, Julian, for that short idea. I'm trying to see if there's anywhere here that looks like where we're at right now. Definitely not saying that trend can change. Let's look 1 month later. 1 month later, a little bit different of a story. But still, 75% win rate. I mean, this, I don't know what your time frame for this idea is, so, you know, keep in mind, we're looking at monthlies here. And essentially how this test is working, right? You have your 3 month, which would be in theory this month. So it has to close a 3. It hasn't done that yet, but it would have to close a 3, meaning it had to take out last month's low. It took out the high. It needs to take out last month's low at some point this month to close a 3. Doesn't have to necessarily close below last month's low. It just needs to take it out. You would enter into this trade on the first day of the new month. So you'd enter into this trade May 1, and then you exit this trade June 1 is how this test works. Because we don't know that the month is closed 3 until the month is actually closed, right? But kind of interesting, I think. So y'all, I'm coming up on time here. There's only a few of you here. I'm curious, does anybody have any last minute questions while I am here? Anything you're curious about? Anything you'd like to know? Anything you'd like me to test? If not, then I am going to jump on out of here. ABBV. What's up, Amvas? Thank you for saying hello. Let's check out ABBV. How's it looking? Woo! Yeah? You're buying the knife, huh? All right, cowboy. So let's see here. Where did this thing gap down? Gap down to about 5.5%. Let's test it. I don't know. I mean, we could try, you know. I'm kind of just choosing an arbitrary exit. Wow, interesting. Only 4 times? It's kind of hard to believe. Let me see. What's the story here? I might have scripted this wrong. What did I say? Oh, yeah, that's what I did. You're looking for a move like this, I suppose? Yeah, so back in March 2021, you had a big gap down that they refilled. You got a big gap down here in June of 2019. This one's not as obvious, but it was a gap down from open to close. So it's only happened 8 times. This much of a gap down. Let's see. This kind of looks like it should have hit, but it might not be 5%. Yeah, 4.31. And you had a gap down here too. So the past, actually, you've had a couple of gap down scenarios on earnings. May of last year, excuse me, in July of last year, and October last year. 3 earnings dates in a row they gapped down. So what we could do, let's just look at earnings. Earnings 68% win rate, 10 days post, with an average return of 2.17. Again, only 40 positions, so no go highlighting. Let's check and just see. Just kind of want to see seasonality here. Coming into the strongest month of the year. Oh, well, second strongest month of the year is May. On ABV. As far back as this goes? Yeah, 2013. So really, the whole front end of the year tends to be pretty strong. But then you're coming into seasonal weakness throughout the summer. And then the strength comes back towards the end of the year. Not much on the analyst estimate side. Let's check insider trading. Who's this guy or lady? Elaine Sorg. What is she? Senior vice president. Sold a couple of mil. I don't know. Senior VP selling a couple mil. Doesn't seem like a huge deal. How's unusual options looking? Looking out to the end of the year. Is the current setup. What is this thing trading at? Excuse me, 150. Going to move all those low ball strikes and all the high ball strikes. Pretty even distribution here. Bring it in a little bit more. Yeah, not too much to glean on the unusual option side either. Add one parameter, just something simple. See if it performs any better above or below. Oh, it's right at its 200-day moving average here, huh? %78 win rate on earnings above the 200-day moving average. Average return 1.8% in 10 days' time. Is it curve fitting? Is it too much? I don't know. It could be. Interesting. All right, y'all. Well, my time has come to an end. It has been a pleasure hanging out with you guys. If anybody is not yet a TrendSpider user, but you are interested in becoming one, let me hook you guys up. I've got a 35% discount code that I can hook y'all up with. If you are not yet a subscriber to this channel, it would be my sincerest pleasure for you guys to become subscribers to the channel. Hit the like and the subscribe. Hook me up. And like I said, hit me up on Twitter with any questions or comments. You know, I'm an open book. I'm completely here to help you guys. So if ever anybody has any questions for me about the platform, you can always hit me up there. If you have thoughts on other things that I can do during these live pre-market shows, I am all ears as well for that. So have a great rest of your day. I also linked you guys once to it, but let me just link you one more time. To our Twitter space this afternoon. I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot of information shared during this thing. So if you're around, I think it'd be quite worth tuning in. I think you'll probably get something out of it. Lots of smart folks in that room presenting ideas. So, all right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Have a great rest of your trading day. Trade them well. Be safe. And I will be live again tomorrow. Actually, we've got PCE announcement tomorrow. So I'm going to be live for it. I'm going to be watching the market reaction to it. So I'll be live an hour earlier tomorrow. That's 8 a.m. Eastern time. I will be here hanging out, watching the market reaction to PCE data. Maybe it'll be interesting. Maybe it'll be a nothing burger. I don't know, but I'm going to be here watching it. So if you're around, come hang out with me. And again, thank you all for being here. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.